that the people have the power to redeem the work of fools. Upon the meek, the graces shower. It's decreed, the people rule. Yes!
Good hello everyone. In my last video, I spent days poring over spreadsheets full of federal election data. And now for this video, I decided to embark on something even more tedious, watching Rise Up Sing Out, a concert for the First Amendment hosted and organized by Jane Fonda.
There is a clear effort to destroy our fundamental democratic rights and dramatically retake our form of governance.
If I had $1 for every time a Hollywood celebrity told us that the sky was falling because they didn't get their way politically, I'd have enough cash to buy one of Jane Fonda's beachfront properties.
Now, some of you, I see you have flags in your seats, and we ran out of flags, so 500 of you have flags now.
How breathlessly incompetent is your production team that you couldn't even manage to buy enough miniature flags for 2/3 of your own audience?
I wish that you could see the letters that we're getting. People are renting out whole theaters all over, every state in the country and Hawaii. Yeah.
Someone might want to inform Hanoi Jane that Hawaii's been a state since 1959.
From church halls to beer halls, people are watching.
And by beer halls, she clearly means a dimly lit dive bar in Portland where the bartender lost the remote and everyone's too busy drinking $10 IPAs to notice what's on the screen.
This is truly a historic town hall. It was built over a century ago by suffragists. It was built to house their League for Political Education. And they stood on this very stage and rallied the masses about the right of women to vote and many other really important things. Those women changed the Constitution right here, and we're here to defend it.
Fact check false. The 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote, was ratified and added to the US Constitution in August of 1920. The Town Hall building in New York City wasn't officially dedicated and opened until January of 1921. So unless those suffragists had a DeLorean parked out front, they didn't help change the Constitution on that stage. They were just enjoying a brand new building after the fight was already won.
But right now the government and its cronies is routinely violating its First Amendment to silence artists.
Violating the First Amendment to silence artists? Jane, you are literally standing on a stage in the middle of Manhattan, surrounded by celebrities, and broadcasting this to the entire world. If the government is actively trying to silence you, they're doing a spectacularly terrible job at it.
Defunding museums and the National Endowment of the Arts.
First of all, no. The National Endowment for the Arts isn't being defunded. But the NEA did terminate dozens of grant offers, including a $20,000 grant to the National Queer Theater for its 2025 Criminal Queerness Festival. Let's get one thing perfectly straight here, no pun intended. The government declining to hand you a taxpayer-funded subsidy is not censorship.
Banning books.
Name one single book, just one, that the federal government has actually banned. And I'm not talking about a local school board deciding that genderqueer doesn't belong in a middle school library. I mean an actual federal ban on a book where citizens are legally barred from buying or reading it. Name one. I'll wait.
Canceling TV hosts who speak out. It's really bad.
Again, name one TV host that the federal government stepped in and canceled. You can't, because it never happened. Furthermore, when a network fires a host because their ratings are in the toilet, that's not a government censorship conspiracy. It's called capitalism.
We are the majority, so let's act like it. I know times are hard, but if we work together, if we stay unified and know in our hearts that we're going to win, we will win.
Hang hang on, I thought you guys were the silenced, marginalized resistance fighting against the establishment. Now you're the vast unified majority? You can't be the scrappy rebel alliance and a galactic empire at the same time. Pick a lane, Grandma. Next was Lily Gladstone, the star of Martin Scorsese's box office bomb, Killers of the Flower Moon. Let's see what profound historical insights that she's bringing to the resistance.
Okineksokoeks, nestunetäniko pitääkin. Mahtotosiksi ketsittäpi, mahtotonimipu. Iksukapineksokoeks, nitsikataikitsi.
Translation? I know absolutely none of you understand what I'm saying, but I also know that you're gonna nod solemnly to prove how progressive you are.
We sit and stand now most specifically the Muncie Lenape of Mannahatta, this island of many hills that we now call Manhattan. Lenape land tenure and stewardship of this place predates any lease, any real estate, any idea of individual ownership. And Lenape steps have carved the first pathways of this land that now supports this infamously sleepless and bustling city.
Yes, while it's true that the Lenape inhabited the region, the idea that their culture completely predated any idea of individual ownership, it's dishonest, considering that Native American tribes frequently warred with other tribes over territory and resources.
Today, you don't have to look too hard to feel and see their legacy all around you. I mean, as you're navigating the streets of New York City, Broadway, named for a trading path, a broad enough avenue for trade with Lenape for beaver pelts.
Broadway was originally named Wecquaesgeck by the Native Americans and is interpreted as place of the bark kettle. The Dutch then widened the existing trail and called it Breedeweg, which literally translate from Dutch to, wait for it, Broadway. Not because it was wide enough to trade beaver pelts.
Pearl Street, named for the shoreline of glistening shells where Lenape hand-selected their wampum.
Actually, she's somewhat right about this one. Even a historically illiterate clock is right twice a day.
Wampum was also morphed into the Dutch West India Trading Company's favorite form of currency in New Amsterdam, which they subsumed into their own style of trade.
Wait, so the Dutch actively engaged in local commerce and adopted the regional currency to facilitate trade? Oh, the horror!
Speaking of that, how could we forget Wall Street? Metaphorically, one of the world's hardest walls to breach, it was in fact named after the 2,000-foot-long wall built by black bodies enslaved by the Dutch West India Trading Company to evict and displace Lenape from these lands. Yeah, Wall Street was a literal wall, y'all.
Wall Street was named after a literal wall built by the Dutch in 1653, but it wasn't built to evict and displace the Lenape. It was a defensive palisade built to protect the New Amsterdam settlement from attacks by the British and from pirate raids. And while enslaved Africans were forced to help build it, so were white colonists. The wall on Wall Street was a general defense fortification, not a bespoke anti-Lenape eviction fence.
For the first peoples of this land, unfortunately, this has been ongoing since the birth of this country as we know it today. So perhaps the question then is not how did we get here, it's how are we still here?
So what did any of that have to do with the First Amendment? Couldn't tell you. Also, no one is being oppressed, especially not Lily Gladstone, the Oscar-nominated actress who self-describes as queer, pansexual, and straight. Makes sense to me, what's your problem? The next guest was Joy Reid, who brought her usual brand of calm, measured, and totally grounded reality to the event. Just kidding. She completely went off the rails.
The threat is not coming, friends, it is here. Brendan Carr, the man who wrote the blueprint to dismantle the FCC in Project 2025, is now running it. He is weaponizing the agency to bully and control the press and suppress the wider televised media.
Joy Reid once again delivering the absolute latest breaking news directly from a parallel dimension where everything she doesn't like is a vast right-wing government conspiracy.
Don Lemon arrested. Georgia Fort arrested.
They were arrested for busting into a church service to protest against ICE. Because, breaking the law has legal consequences. Who knew?
Terry Moran fired from ABC.
Terry Moran wasn't fired because of a massive government censorship plot. He was let go for a severe breach of journalistic standards and clear and obvious bias, like going on rants calling the President of the United States and Stephen Miller world-class haters. The kind of stuff that real journalists at least attempt to hide.
Scott Pelley fired from CBS by the claque of far-right ideologues who bought it and handed it over to a zealot named Barry Weiss.
No, Scott Pelley was fired because he had a public meltdown and told his new boss that he wasn't welcome at 60 Minutes.
Jim Acosta out at CNN.
CNN didn't fire Jim Acosta. They wanted to move him from the 10 a.m. slot to midnight, which admittedly is a demotion of sorts. But instead of taking it, Jim Acosta decided to quit.
Karen Attiah fired from the Washington Post.
As I covered in a previous video, Karen Attiah wasn't a martyr for journalism. She stepped down amid massive internal friction, controversy over her toxic tweets, and a track record of alienating her own colleagues. But sure, let's pretend it was some deep state conspiracy.
And me more than a year ago.
My show had value, and that, I'm sorry.
Jeff Bezos ripped Democracy Dies in Darkness off of the masthead of the Washington Post.
Except it's literally still there. I just can't understand why MSNBC would fire this truth teller.
What I was doing had value.
A handful of billionaires consolidating local stations, newspapers, national networks, turning American journalism into what they hope will become a U.S. version of North Korea.
Oh, I didn't realize that state-run media in Pyongyang was 24 hours a day relentlessly criticizing the government. If corporate billionaires are trying to turn American journalism into North Korea, they're doing a really, really bad job at it. Next up is Maggie Takuda Hall, the author of Love in the Library, a children's picture book based on the story of how her Japanese-American grandparents were placed into an internment camp during World War II and eventually fell in love.
When I wrote a picture book about how my grandparents met during World War II in a Japanese-American internment camp, I didn't expect a lot of controversy. But I found myself in the center of a national one about censorship when I was offered a publishing deal, which was contingent on me removing the word racism from the book. I said no, and I said no publicly, and I thought that that would be the end of it.
However, this has nothing to do with First Amendment censorship, not even remotely. What actually happened was Scholastic offered to license her book for a very specific supplementary education collection. To make the book a better fit for elementary school students, the publisher asked her to remove portions of the author's note that reads, "Their improbable joy does not excuse virulent racism, nor does it minimize the pain, the drama, and the deaths that resulted from it. But it is to situate it into the deeply American tradition of racism." As much as I would hope that this would be a story of a distant past, it is not. It is very much the story of America here and now. The racism that put my grandparents in Minidoka is the same hate that keeps children in cages on our border. It's the myth of white supremacy that brought slavery to our past and allows the police to murder black people in our present. It's the same fear that brings Muslim bans. It's the same contempt that creates voter suppression, medical apartheid, and food deserts. The same cruelty that carved reservations out of stolen sovereign land that paved the Trail of Tears. Hate is not a virus, it is an American tradition. I feel like she forgot to squeeze in, microaggressions and carbon footprints. But to be clear, this isn't a political science dissertation for college students. This is the author's note at the back of a children's picture book. So what Scholastic asked Miss Takuda Hall to do is edit a sentence to, "Their improbable joy does not excuse or minimize the pain, the trauma, and the deaths that resulted from it," and then remove all this bullshit. Because as Scholastic wisely pointed out, a section about white supremacy, voter suppression, and medical apartheid goes beyond what some teachers are willing to cover with the kids in their elementary classrooms. Gee, you think? The author told NPR, without its proper context, the story runs the risk of being like a lovely little love story. And that's not what it is. If the entire meaning and context of your story hinges on an author's note tacked onto the very end of the book, then you didn't do your job properly. But also, did she even read her own book? All the Japanese Americans from the West Coast were in prison camps like Minidoka. Elderly people, children, babies. It didn't matter who you were, just what you were. And being Japanese American then was treated like a crime. And though each camp was different, they were all the same, uncomfortable and unjust. See what I mean? But again, this has nothing to do with the First Amendment or censorship. I mean, which is more important? Having the story of your grandparents reach an even wider audience? Or ensure that your modern day political manifesto stayed completely intact? She obviously chose the latter.
I was first made aware of the violence of book bans. I had understood that book bans were a problem. I had not until then understood that they were ruining people's lives.
If your definition of a ruined life and actual violence is Scholastic asking you to tweak a political paragraph at the back of a picture book, then you have lived an imaginably privileged, sheltered life.
It is not the government's place to tell us what we get to read.
Good news, honey, it's not. Keeping politically charged content out of a taxpayer-funded elementary school is not a ban. No one is stopping a parent from logging into Amazon and buying the book or taking their child to the local public library to check it out. The government isn't stopping you from reading books. You just don't have a constitutional right to force it into a third grade curriculum. But wow, this is such a great concert so far, right?
Hello, my name is Rabbi Rachel Timoner. I'm the senior rabbi of Congregation Beth Elohim in Park Slope, Brooklyn. I also happen to be a queer rabbi, a proud queer rabbi.
Because nowadays, you can't just be a rabbi. You have to list your intersectional modifiers before speaking. You know, like you're ordering a highly customized Starbucks drink.
All I can say is thanks be to God. Every God for all of us.
Ah yes, thanking every God. The classic cover all your bases theological approach.
The First Amendment's freedom of religion clause prohibits the government interfering with your ability to practice your faith.
Where was this fiery defense of the First Amendment during the COVID lockdowns? You know, when the government literally interfered with the people's ability to practice their faith by banning them from attending church, and in some cases, actively arresting pastors for holding services. I guess religious freedom only matters when it's politically convenient. Next up, we have actress Tessa Thompson, who apparently just bought a word of the day calendar.
I came across a turn of phrase that I had never heard before, which is collective effervescence. And, right? And that is what we are engaging in tonight.
Collective effervescence. I'm pretty sure I accidentally bought a bottle of that one time at Whole Foods. It tasted like kombucha and pretension. But enough of that. Please put your hands together for Julia Roberts, who was apparently completely overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of her own bravery.
I don't know about you guys, but my heart is beating really fast right now. Let's all just put our phones down for just a second. You can pick them back up in a minute. They will survive without you.
Multi-millionaire movie star tells an audience of people who paid hundreds of dollars to be there to stop filming her. Groundbreaking activism.
Renee Nicole Good is not a symbol. She is an American woman, a queer woman.
Oh, good grief.
Who is doing the very best she could do to be good in an unjust world. And I am honored to celebrate her life and her legacy tonight because the life she gave is our responsibility
to carry.
She is not a symbol, while at the same time using this exact woman's death as a literal political symbol and an applause line for a celebrity live stream. But if you thought Julia Roberts' performance was melodramatic, buckle up, because stumbling to the microphone is Robert De Niro to deliver his standard profanity-laced temper tantrum.
When I hear Trump say, as he did a few days ago, I don't think about Americans' financial situation. Not even a little bit. I say, shut the f*** up.
Well, what about Trump's First Amendment rights? Anyway, let's put a little context back into that heavily, deceptively cherry-picked quote, shall we?
When you're negotiating with Iran, Mr. President, to what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all. That's the only thing that motivates.
Trump wasn't talking about the domestic economy in general. He was talking about it in regards to the Iran war. But, why let full quotes get in the way of a good De Niro rant?
I can't love a country that's led by a racist, misogynist, xenophobic tyrant. And let me just say it. I can't love the country that's led by Donald Trump and his...
The classic conditional patriotism of the Hollywood elite. I only love democracy in my country when my preferred political party is in charge.
I want my country back.
When normal everyday Americans say, I want my country back, Democrats label it as some kind of dangerous extremist dog whistle. But when Robert De Niro says it, it's stunning and brave. Anyway, as I mentioned at the beginning, this was supposed to be a concert. And man, did the audience get their money's worth.
Singing resistance is a joyful movement that, through the power of collective singing, mobilizes and organizes people to take loving and radical action in solidarity with those most impacted by state violence.
Here we go. No one's getting left behind this time. No one is getting left behind this time. No one is getting left behind. Not this time. No one is getting left behind this time. How do we get there? Together or never get there at all. We get there together. Sing.
No one gets left behind, guys. It's just like the U.S. Marines.
No one is getting left behind. No one is getting left behind this time. How do we get there? We get there together. Stand to your feet, everybody.
Nothing says hardcore political resistance to an oppressive regime quite like a melancholy cover of Over the Rainbow. Take that, fascism!
We're going to do a call and response song this evening in a long tradition of movement music that is birthed in the spirit of struggle. We're going to unite our voices to fight back against the repression and violence. Are you ready to rise up? Let's go! Rise up, we're gonna rise up. Rise up.
The only struggle here is trying to survive the agonizing secondhand embarrassment of watching grown adults play pretend revolutionaries. What a bunch of self-indulgent hippy-dippy bullshit.
I sing from here, you sing.
And you sing from there.
Together we'll sing down the walls. Say the love in our heart. The love in our hearts like the waves of the sea. Together we'll sing it. One more time, say together.
Oh my god, this concert sucks.
This is a time we need something different. We need to dig deep into our hearts and sing it like our voice could break down the walls of detention centers.
Yes, yes.
So we're going to sing it in Spanish the way our children are singing it on the inside. Yo canto acá y tú cantas allá. Try that. Yo canto acá, tú cantas allá. Juntos.
Sing it like your voice could break down the walls of detention centers. Sorry, hippies, but the literal laws of physics do not care about your acoustic vibes.
Where there were deserts, I saw fountains, and like cream, the waters rise.
Is this a protest anthem or a weird fever dream about a Starbucks Frappuccino?
Oh, you fascists bound to lose. Yes, sir, oh, you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose, you fascists bound to lose.
Oh, you fascist boundaloo? I'm sorry, what?
Hey there, all you fascists, let me put you straight. When you come for the rest of us, we'll fight you at the gate and you will lose, you fascists bound to lose.
Wow, the revolution sounds like Tuesday night karaoke, except everyone is slightly off key and taking themselves way too seriously.
Oh, you fascists bound to lose. Yes, sir, oh, you fascists bound to lose.
Is this a protest song or a CIA psychological endurance test? Because I'm about ready to confess to crimes I didn't even commit just to make it stop.
I've been here, I've been watching this whole night, and this is kind of going off script. But I was just thinking about myself as a political body, as a young queer black woman, but also just like as a human being.
And on that note, that's it for now. Head on over to my super cool merch store at don'twalkrun.shop. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you next time, if there is a next time.